Well, that was an amazing film. We were watching it here without any sound, and we were thinking there'd be some good ideas there for future episodes of Meerfest in the future, and Bog Watch. So I don't know, we'll put those in development. What do you think?
I reckon so, yeah, absolutely. Some interesting hairstyles there.
I think so. Do you think you would actually get on the back of a bull and ride around Ellesmere? Would you do that?
No.
No. Okay, good. At least we've established that anyway. Now, I'm joined by one of our presenters. So he's swapped seats and he's now sitting over in the hot seat, and you're going to be interviewed in your alternative role as a trustee of Shropshire Wildlife Trust. Could you tell us a little bit more about the Wildlife Trust? What is it?
Well, the Wildlife Trusts exist nationally to protect wild spaces, to make sure that we don't lose any more habitat than we've already lost. And it's well recorded that we've lost huge tracts of wild spaces across the country. But we heard about Priest Heath earlier on and the damage that was done there too. So in one respect, it's there to protect the wild places and to manage them if that's required. But also, I suppose, a key element of a wildlife trust is to persuade people that they should care. Why should we care about the wild spaces? Why do they matter? If I live on a housing estate, do I care about the forest that's 5 miles up the road? Do I visit it? Have I been there? And that's one of the greatest challenges is to get people on board and to begin to understand the value of wild.
And I mean, we see the Shropshire Wildlife Trust, we see some of the work that they do. You've explained very nicely what kind of things they do and how they try and inspire people and all that kind of thing. But as your role as a trustee of the Wildlife Trust, what is your role?
Yes, it's fascinating. I've only been in that position for probably less than a year now. Any charity has to have trustees. The trustees are the checks and the balances. These are people who are brought in for whatever life skills or professional skills they might have, and are able to support, advise if necessary, the officers of a given charity and help them make the right decisions, ensure that they're staying on track, that they're not disappearing off down a blind alleyway. We have to be true to the core of what the trust represents and what it's setting out to do. And then, for instance, I suppose the best example would be around land acquisition. Now, the trust has recently taken on some various bits of land. We bought the scrapyard at Wixall that we heard about earlier on. And why would you buy a scrapyard? Now, of course, there was a discussion about that. For some time, it had been the missing piece of a jigsaw in that particular part of North Shropshire. It will never become a wild space. It's covered with concrete. In a way, though, perversely, that protects the toxins and the poisons that are in that land because it's been a scrapyard for so many years. So it was an ambition of the trust broadly to complete the jigsaw, but the question was asked of us trustees: is this desirable? Do you think this still chimes with what we're trying to do? We're offered land on occasion. We won't always necessarily snap somebody's hand off and say, yes, we'll definitely have that piece of land just because you've offered it to us. What's its value? So in the trustees, we have botanists, we have biologists, we have people who are that kind of experts. Certainly not my expertise. I come from a different sector from that. But that's really what the trustees are all about.
Well, it's fascinating to hear you talk about it because my connections with the Wildlife Trust, I worked for them for about 20 years or so. And in that time, I've seen Shropshire change. I've seen the people that work for Shropshire Wildlife Trust change as well. So surely the Wildlife Trust has to change with those times as well and actually keep an eye on the future as well as protecting what's already here. What would you say is the vision for the Wildlife Trust over the next 50 years?
Yes, it's difficult, really. You know, you have to be pragmatic about this. You know, the population is expanding. The economy, you know, needs to grow to some extent. You know, there needs to be employment, so people have got wages. There needs to be housing. All of these things have to happen. However, is there not a place for an organisation like the Wildlife Trust to be in early doors on those conversations when they take place about future development? Can they be done in perhaps a more sensitive way? Can we see potentially wildlife corridors going through new developments so that a housing estate or an industrial unit isn't a full stop? that's not the end. You know, something can make its way through there in some way. So I think the future is really about being more pragmatic, being involved in those discussions, continuing to improve, to increase people's awareness of why it's important, and as I say, come back to get people to care.
That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much, John, for sitting in the hot seat.